and its prospective role in making India AI ready, I invite Ms. Shweta Khurana, Senior Director, APJ Government Partnership and Initiatives, Intel, to say a few words.
Thank you so much, and a very huge welcome to all of you. I really want to welcome each one of you here personally, and on behalf of everybody on the stage as well. I cannot say enough how heartening it is for us to see the kind of efforts which each one of you have put in to reach and conclude the pilot to where it is today. But, on behalf of Dr. Chintan Vaishnav, Mission Director, AIM, Dr. Saha, Dr. MK, Dipali, RP, everybody, I am sure that instead of welcoming the guests on the stage, they'll join me in personally congratulating each one of you to be here today and joining us with this movement. So a huge round of applause for all of you. Our goal is to really empower teachers and students with relevant skill sets, mindsets, and tool sets. So when we started this journey, we identified schools which have AI as a subject of study, as well as who have an adult tinkering lab in their schools. The idea was, why have these two work in isolation? How do we get all of them together in a synergized mode to really drive better learning outcomes for our students? Using AI responsibly and comprehensively, using AI with a meaning, and why AI is something which today we have as a movement or a momentum where we want to build an AI-ready generation, is because Intel identifies AI as one of the 5 superpowers. And we believe that if our students have to be ready to be a part of future of work, it is extremely important for them to have a hold on how to use and navigate their lives through emerging technologies, specifically artificial intelligence. If I look at the UN World Report, we have youth in the age of 15 to 24, which makes up for almost 1.2 billion people in the world. And if we have to maintain national competitiveness, it is imperative that our education system, our schools, our teachers, and our students learn how to navigate themselves in the era of emerging technologies. I'm sure all of you would, because you have AI as a subject of study, would have heard from your students on how are they learning these new skills? What are they doing with it? How are they really deriving social impact because of the unique innovations which they are creating? And similarly, because you have an adult tinkering laboratory, you would see them working with multiple sensors, working on different projects, trying to make use of all the equipment which has been made available to them in a way which is fun, in a way which is educational, and goes much beyond the classroom learning. But each one of you here have taken a step ahead of that. You've actually come together to integrate these 3 learning capsules and build what I would say is actually a pedagogical transformation. Because you're trying to teach and learn in an environment which is full, which has a superpower, which is artificial intelligence, which also has access to multiple tool sets which are available in your ATL, and then how to kind of build that knowledge or that body of knowledge together to create something which is a different way of teaching and learning itself. Some of the teachers I interacted with spoke to me that they could have never thought that teaching their subject could be done in such a different environment, instead of just running. And we come from the era where ICT in education had just started, and I know all of you are extremely well familiar with that. So now just imagine what a leap you've taken ahead of that. From starting with ICT in education, today using emerging technologies like AI and using all the sensors, et cetera, and the tool sets which are available to you to be able to produce better learning outcomes from your students. So I congratulate each one of you. And now we'll just go on to a quick audio visual to talk to you about what this journey has been. Can we have the AV, please?
National Education Policy 2020 emphasizes on the importance of AI education to ensure that Indian youth are prepared with the required skills for socio-economic gains in an AI-fueled world. NEP also focuses on training teachers to drive this skill-focused transformation. AIoT integration in school curriculum was launched collaboratively by Atal Innovation Mission, Niti Aayog, Central Board of Secondary Education, Ministry of Education, and Intel India to empower teachers with appropriate skill sets, mindsets, and tool sets and help them integrate AI and tinkering to help improve learning outcomes for students. The aim is to nurture the spirit of ideation, design thinking, computational thinking, algorithmic thinking, and innovation by providing opportunities to leverage tinkering while using AI. The trained teachers are now including tinkering and AI skills in their subject lesson plans and integrating these as a part of their regular teaching learning activities. With this movement gaining momentum, more and more schools are now adopting this methodology, thus systemizing the concepts of tinkering and AI skills in education.
So once again, welcome to each one of you, and thank you for being a part with us in our journey to really make AI tinkering as systemic as possible and help improve student learning outcomes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for elucidating the importance of tech-enabled education and the work Intel is doing in bringing the change. Today, many teachers like you and me have been integrating tinkering and AI skills in our respective subject lesson plans. To give us all a brief insight about conceptualizing AIoT integration with pedagogy, I would request Dr. Biswajit Saha, Director Skills Education, CBSE, to share with us the vision behind the same.
Good morning to all of you. Good morning, children. माहौल बनाना पड़ता है ना. All the respected dignitaries, especially to this chief guest, Dr. Chintan Vaishnav, our eminent guest, and who was rather pioneered ATL movement in India. So today is a proud privilege for all of us. सब लोगों ने हो सकते हैं उनका नाम सुना है, but physically sir is present with us. और उनका द्वारा ही I think initial ATL journey शुरू हुआ था. So let me once again welcome you, sir. And Shweta, RP, Deepali. So they are very much instrumental because some way, many activities we are doing, but this particular integrating AI and tinkering was some way conceptualized by ATL team, AIM team rather, and Intel. CBSE बीच में instrumental हो गया by name of putting the pedagogy onto the pedestal. My other colleague from CBSE, Joe is from UNESCO. All the eminent teachers came across from different places of the country, and special excitement for the teachers. And we really, for last half an hour, after interacting with you all, I think the purpose for which we are here are very much visible. हमने ये पिछले आधा घंटा में अनुभव कर लिया है what's going on in the school by means of this integrating AI and tinkering and with pedagogy. क्या चल रहा है अंदर? Some students were very much instrumental because new idea हमारा दिमाग से नहीं आता है. Whether it is farmer-related problem or hardness of water or how to teach electricity or motion in a more functional way, new education's policy is trying to flag each and every issue under the ambit of experiential learning, project-based learning, or so-called competency-based learning. We all are witnessing here real competency-based learning with the help of technology. And technology integrations is very much vital at this stage. Some way, India's G20 presidency, we have to show the world what we are doing, or even if we are not showing, world is looking at us. So, first of all, let me thank Intel for initially coming up with the concept of AI integration and AI as a subject. So 21st century skills without AI, I think nobody can think of. Literally, it is there or not there, we are not going to search it. But some way, CBSE, with the present leadership, Madam Nidhi Chibbar, I'm sorry she is not able to make it today because of some health reason. Otherwise, excitement हम लोगों का और ज़्यादा होता, and especially principal will also get the opportunity to interact. Let me see if she is available after the Niti Aayog or before that, if some interactions can be carried out today or tomorrow. So, at this point of time, my humble request to the teachers, through this platform, a positive networking objective should be established right from today. Because many problems, many ideas, and many solutions, actually country is aiming for it. And through these children interactions, through our AI community, through our AIoT community, can we aim to integrate all the subject? We are not actually thinking for grade 11 and 12 in that way, because that foundation 6 to 8 and up to 10, if we can really pitch in, I think some way we can create a positive environment for competency-based learning and skilling. So with this word, wish you all the best and hope through this kind of platform, you will get more opportunity, and also you can create special opportunity for the children. Let me also announce, maybe in the month of March, of course, board examinations will be there, but there would be a G20's special meeting at Amritsar, where CBSE has been asked to showcase some AI-based project. So my request, both from the student side as well as from the teacher side, those who are not appearing grade 10th and grade 12th, rest from any grades, you can create a team, or from the existing teams also, we can nominate some team there, so that ultimately it is not the platform only between CBSE and Niti Aayog family, it would be a global platform where we can showcase our achievement. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your efforts to empower the youth of this country is praiseworthy. Your vision to manifest a future-ready nation is an inspiration to the teaching fraternity. AIoT integration program, during its inception, went through intense brainstorming. And finally, we are here to celebrate its implementation. Right from its inception till the teachers' orientation workshops, it was Ms. Dipali Upadhyay, Program Director, Atal Innovation Mission, Niti Aayog, whose thorough support and guidance helped us achieve this feat. I request Ms. Dipali Upadhyay to grace the dais and share your vision.
Good morning and a very warm welcome to all the teachers, principals, students here. This is indeed a great moment of pride for us as Atal Innovation Mission, Atal Tinkering Labs, and of course the entire team and delegates sitting here. CBSE, Intel team, for us when we first started this journey, just from an idea stage, I didn't think it was possible that in less than a year's time, we'll be here in this auditorium full of teachers, principals, students, living the entire curriculum that we created for all of you. So a huge round of applause to all of you for making it a huge success. Atal Tinkering Labs, with its mission of inculcating 21st century skills and entrepreneurship and tinkering skills in students across the country, has reached its milestone recently of 10,000 labs across the country. But what this initiative will do is actually help it reach more than 2.5 lakh schools across the country with this tinkering integration into the school curriculum. And that's what makes me so happy and proud at this moment today, because now, starting with a few lesson plans, 20 lesson plans, we are now at more than 70 lesson plans, and I know it will grow as we grow and as we progress in this journey. And it's all thanks to all of you. I've seen you all in those workshops, sessions, putting your head down like school students, living your school lives together, working on projects together, coming up with these lesson plans, learning while you're doing that, teaching each other while you're doing that, and now actually taking it forward to your schools and imparting that learning and taking that torch ahead for us. So you are indeed the people who will actually take it to more than 2.5 lakh schools across the country. You have this important agenda of doing that. This integration of AI and tinkering in curriculum is indeed very important for us as Atal Innovation Mission, because really, to start with, the infrastructure that we've built in these 10,000 schools, and many of you have tinkering labs in your schools, would echo that feeling that we have a tinkering lab, but how do we maximize the use of this tinkering lab? How do we really implement NEP 2020's objectives of project-based and experiential learning with the help of this wonderful infrastructure that the government of India has really thought about, and its brainchild to actually give access to such resources and such infrastructure to students. But now this integration manual is what will actually help us maximize the use of these tinkering labs. It will help us bring our classrooms into the tinkering labs and vice versa, bring the tinkering lab into the classroom. That is the whole idea, that the two should merge. It should not be two different streams. It should actually be learning while integrating everything that is there to offer, be it AI, be it design thinking, be it tinkering, whatever skills, curriculums. And I know CBSE has been constantly evolving with new and new modules and learning content, and kudos to them for doing that. As soon as NEP 2020 was out, I've heard so many new initiatives and curriculum that has been coming out through them. We at Atal Tinkering Labs also have been coming out with new learning content, but then this is where it all comes together. And thanks to Intel and their entire team for really ensuring such a thing hits the road, literally taking a concept and making it this, what we see here today with all of you, with this integration manual and the many more lessons that will be developed. They've been such an important string to this whole aspect, and Dr. Saha really downplayed CBSE's role. Let me say that is what mainstreaming is all about. CBSE coming together, integrating it into the curriculum is what has really helped us reach these more than 2 lakh schools with this curriculum. And with Intel's role of understanding both so well, being a part of the tinkering journey right from its inception, when the first 10 tinkering labs were built across the country, and now AI for All initiative that CBSE took a couple of years back, and now with us together in terms of bringing the two together for a seamless integration into our classrooms. So thank you so much to the entire Intel team for making it happen. Thank you to CBSE team for, championing and partnering with us in such an important initiative, and the entire ATL team that works very hard to bring this together to all of you in terms of all the reviews, content discussions, and all of you teachers who actually developed this. This is all your work. This is what you have built for the rest of the teachers in the country. So congratulations, and the students for actually trying out projects and implementing them. I feel a huge difference in how I met some of you in the first stage when we first launched this, and now when I see you talk, you're talking about data, how AI can be used, how we can integrate tinkering into this, how you're using design thinking concepts to teach those same pedagogical concepts that you were talking about many months ago, but a huge transformation in all of you. I'm sure this is going to go a long way, and I feel very proud of all of you for what you presented today and what you've come up with. Thank you so much for being with us in this journey and for taking it ahead in your schools with other peer teachers, with students, and with many more schools as we develop these lesson plans and they get across the country. This is indeed a unique collaboration where, three such partners have come together, and you as very important, champions of such a cause. So thank you once again for all of you to be a part of this journey, and I look forward to many more such initiatives and many more such, content and resource materials that can be shared with the entire country. Thank you.
Ma'am, your enthusiasm is infectious. As the program director of Think Tank of India, your vision is exemplary, and we are very proud to be a part of your vision. In September 2022, a collection of 10 science and 10 social science integrated AIoT lesson plans were exemplified. Further, teachers from 50 shortlisted schools were trained on these exemplars. These teachers further prepared a total of 70 new AIoT integrated subject lesson plans, which are now a part of a compendium. So now I would like to invite our chief guest, Dr. Chintan Vaishnava, Mission Director, Atal Innovation Mission Niti Aayog, and our esteemed dignitaries to launch the Integrating AI and Tinkering with Pedagogy Compendium. Kudos to teachers and students. Next, we have with us Dr. C. Murali Krishna Kumar, a physics graduate from IIT Madras. Dr. Kumar helped to initiate and establish Atal Innovation Mission at Niti Aayog. May I request Dr. Murali Krishnan Kumar to speak a few words and share his journey.
Thank you very much. Dignitaries on the dais, teachers, principals, children, students, guests. It's like homecoming for me. And this activity was one of the activities which we took up very dearly at Niti Aayog when I was there. And had a lot of interactions with various stakeholders, and then finally worked out the contours of the mission, which actually took birth in the 2015 budget speech, if I'm right. And the mandate given to Niti Aayog in the budget speech, as per the budget speech, was that, you make a program called Atal Innovation Mission for encouraging innovation. That's it. And there was another program which was meant to create employment. These were the two budget statements, and Niti Aayog was tasked to deliver them. So it was all new, and there were no guidance, nothing, so we went about and got the various elements of the Atal Innovation Mission worked out. And before I go further, I just wanted to share a small anecdote with all of you. And I think it was in 2016 that, I had the opportunity to visit US to be in the, it was Intel's Global Science and Technology meet. And as part of that, we had a meeting with one of the senior-most Intel board members. And she came to know about Atal Innovation Mission and what India was doing, and she was keen to understand. So, Shweta ma'am had organized a small meeting. So I went and briefed about the activities which we are doing. And at that time, our aim at that time was that, in the first phase, we are targeting 500 tinkering labs. And she got shocked and she came back and said that, do you know how many tinkering establishments we have in US? Any guess? There were only 2 at that time, 2016. That's what she told me. I said, we are planning and we are aiming to get 500, not realizing what will hit me. Came out and said that, where am I landing myself in, I had prepared the budget papers and we moved the budget papers for funds for 500 tinkering labs. And the experience on ground in US says that, it was difficult for them to operate 2 tinkering labs. So that's the background. And the kind of initial problems which we had to overcome them and identified what were the most important elements in the establishment of tinkering labs and making them a success. Intel has been very supportive, and we spent a number of meetings and then worked out 3-4 action points. And I remember the meetings in our office, where both Shweta and Salini, both of them used to come regularly. And the first point which we discussed was that, we need to get the teachers on board. If the teachers are with us, the tinkering labs will be a success. And because they are the fulcrum on which, the entire activity rests in a school. So how do you motivate the teachers? How do you bring them on board? We have to give them confidence and say that, the tinkering is nothing but, the way of life, in the sense that, you start teaching students and students learn outside the textbooks. See, they see what they see and then, convert them into problem statements and then start working to solve those problems. So the first and foremost activity which we thought we should put in place was, get the teachers and, train them. And then work out on some kind of handbooks, which will help the teachers as well as the students, who are interested in this. And I think Intel has been very supportive in that and helpful, and organized a number of faculty training programs. And in the first phase, they had taken up 10 schools as model schools, established expert helping hand in these 10 schools, and driven those 10 schools. And, the intention was, you have a hub and spoke model. Because, none of the schools were exposed to the topic of tinkering. So we'll have one hub where the Intel technical person is available, who will provide the technical support and, help teachers as well as the students in the concepts of tinkering. And then, the other schools can join up and look towards them, that particular mentor and the school, try to do it. And the second most important point we thought was, one school looking after so many schools in the hub and spoke model, it's not an efficient way. We need to find a better solution to do this. Then we thought of bringing in mentors. So we sent out feelers saying that, whoever is interested to mentor the kids can let us know. And you'll be surprised, many retired scientific officers, scientists from research laboratories, national research laboratories, came up and said that, we would love to interact with students and, give back something to the community. Because, they were getting an opportunity to live their dreams. What they missed in their childhood, they wanted to experience that, go back to schools. So we had a lot of them coming in. And, we said that these are the list of schools. You pick the school which is closer to you, where you can go. And everything was done gratis. And these are the people, who came and made what Atal Tinkering Lab is today. And the final goal was to set up something close to 10,000. I don't know whether we have reached that mark. Oh, that's great. But just imagine, any guess how many schools we have in India? Total number of schools in India? 4.5 lakhs. So 10% of that would be how many? 45,000? And we are talking about 10,000. 10,000 is also not sufficient. But our initial figure was 500. So, I just wanted to give you the journey. This needs to catch on like a viral, And from 500 to 10,000, from 10,000 to 45,000, 45,000 to 2.5 lakh schools, 4.5 lakh schools, we need to get it. Every child should be a tinkerer. That's the ultimate objective. And for that, yes, teachers are the backbone, and I'm very happy that, Intel is still pursuing the faculty training, not only in tinkering, but, they have now added new activity, the artificial intelligence and IoT and other subjects, and bringing both the tinkering labs and the AI labs together and, creating a synergy between all of them and helping the teachers and motivating them to take this particular initiative forward. And I'm sure that, all these activities will bear fruit in the future and put India on the international map. And when we started the Atal Innovation Mission, I think India's ranking in the Global Innovation Index was somewhere close to 90. And today we are at 40. And we need to narrow the grip. And, if anybody has seen the GII reports over the past couple of years, you will realize that, the top 10 countries, they don't easily yield their place to anybody else. These 10 countries, they move their ranking up and down. The guy who is number 1, subsequent year, he may be number 2. And the guy who is number 3 may be number 1. But the 11th country never enters. That they are so strong, that top 10 countries. And what sets them aside is the innovation and tinkering activity. The number of patents they have, number of publications they have. That is one area where, India is still lacking. If you see the Global Innovation Index, this is the particular area where, our ranking is very weak. And all these initiatives hopefully will help us in improving our ranking. Once we have reached the top 10, I think, we have technically and, really arrived at the on the center stage. And, we can be on par with any of the developed nations and fulfill all our aspirations. And for all of this to happen, I think, teachers are the backbone, as I said. And with Intel support, I think, we can achieve much more and, take this particular initiative, more number of schools and more number of teachers. I once again thank Intel for inviting me here today and to relive my old days when we were involved in the overall planning and implementation of the mission activities in the first phase. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Murali Krishna Kumar, for for informing us actually from where we started and where we have reached so far. You have enabled quality transformation of our country, have facilitated, and we are very proud to have you with us. With a vision to cultivate 1 million children in India as neoteric innovators, for the very first time ever, Atal Innovation Mission has been fostering the concept of tinkering. As a step up, the AIoT integration within school curriculum aims to help schools integrate tinkering and AI skills in a systemic manner and to leverage the ATL infrastructure as a part of their regular teaching learning activities. To shed some more light on this, I will now invite our chief guest, Dr. Chintan Vaishnav, Mission Director, Atal Innovation Mission, Niti Aayog, to take over the stage.
Good morning. How's everyone? Good. Somebody said awesome. That's great. It's hard to follow so many good speeches, but let me ask you a question. How many students are here? Who's a student here? All of us. Okay, great. Who is employed as a teacher? I just want to see who is here. Okay, there are principals here also? There are some? Okay. And then there are other folks? Are there corporate people here? Intel, maybe yes, okay. Okay, are there other people? Press, the press is here. Oh, okay, excellent. Okay, well, it's great to be with you. Let me just say that what you're going through is absolutely amazing. Let me assure you that you are at the bleeding edge. You are at the bleeding edge of what can be done pedagogically in schools with AI. Let me assure you that this is not happening in most nations of the world. The most advanced nations are also not experiencing it. I know this for a fact because my daughter studies in the United States, in school. She couldn't move here during COVID, so she's still there in the 7th grade. She's not experiencing anything anywhere close to this. So with, of course, Intel's visionary leadership in carrying AI forward, Dr. Murali Krishna Kumar already spoke about their early partnership with Atal Innovation Mission. The very first 10 tinkering labs were all set up by Intel. Do I get that right? Yeah. And so, so with Intel's leadership, of course, CBSE's leadership in this integrative pedagogy, and then the work of Atal Innovation Mission, you already heard from Dipali. There's our team here, Tanvi, Vishnupriya, Pratik, Suman, and Shubham, yes. I think this is a great group of 3 very progressive institutions that came together to make this happen. But what has happened, what has been put out with this AIoT, exercises is not trivial at all. I mean, see, what happens is the content scales very easily, right? You have, if you go to, I'll give you some tangential examples, right? If you go to, I've always been very surprised. If you go to mountains, let's say you are in a remote part of the Himalayas, and you will suddenly hear an old song of K.L. Saigal, or you will hear some song of Lata Mangeshkar being played on some radio, and you realize, wow, the content scales, no problem. But the pedagogy does not scale. Okay, I'll give you some examples, couple of examples. Well, first of all, let me just say that, well, this word pedagogy gets thrown around, right? As a student, I always had wondered, what does it mean, right? So pedagogy is basically the way you teach and learn, right? That way of teaching and learning does not scale. That's why you have the same textbook everywhere, right? But because the pedagogy is different, the outcome is different. Because the teacher's way of imparting it is different, the outcome is different. I had this one very interesting experience recently, 4 years ago. I decided to teach tabla to children. My intention was that that's how my daughter will also learn. So I said, if these kids come and I teach them, then and so I said, I don't have a lot of time, but I'll do one session a week. So I started to teach, and there was this one 30-plus-year-old person called me, and he said, I heard that you were teaching tabla, and I really want to learn from you and all of that. And I said, listen, I don't have any time. I'm traveling a lot, but I'm doing this for children, and I really won't be able to do it with you. And he said, but I have been trying to learn tabla from YouTube for 3 years. I was very surprised. I said, really? You can learn tabla from YouTube? I'm very curious. What did you learn? He said, why don't you come home? So I went to his home. And then he started to play and all that. And I realized that, what was wonderful, because the content scales, what was wonderful was that he could just click on video after video after video, and he could keep trying whatever he wanted to try, right? So he knew a lot, but he didn't know any of it in the right way. So he knew a lot, but none of it was known to him in the right way. So then I said, I'll show you 2, 3 little things, right, as to how to position your fingers and all that. And you try it out and see if things improve. And so he tried it out. And then 2, 3 weeks later, he called me and he said that, can I meet you again? I'll only take 10 minutes. And so, how can you say no to such a student, right? So I said, okay. And so he came. And he played, and I said, wow, this has improved quite a bit. And he said, well, can we do more of it? And so we kept doing it, and so on. But I realized that pedagogy matters. And I think what has been done here is that demystification of the pedagogy at the highest level of sophistication, right? You are learning artificial intelligence, which is in itself a fairly difficult subject. And you have integrated it with both mind, the theoretical aspects of other subjects, and hands, the tinkering aspects of the tinkering lab, for retention. And I think that's amazing. It's very hard to do. And I'm really, really glad that this has come out. And that I really, really hope that it scales. I'll give you one other sophisticated example, which has existed for a long time, again, to prove the same point that the pedagogy doesn't scale. So at MIT, for example, we would, in computer science, we would teach algorithms which are very abstract by asking people to create skits or dances that explain the algorithm. Okay, very difficult thing to do, but you will retain it. You will not retain the abstraction of a circular buffer, but you will retain the abstraction of having created a dance form, right? Similarly, for instance, programming, a lot of 99.9% of places when you go there to learn programming, they'll say, hey, why don't you, this is a syntax, here's some examples, why don't you do examples, learn the programming. They learn it, they do very well with it. People get jobs and all that. But there are very few places that teach you programming very differently, right? They tell you, when you go into a programming class, they give you a 1970 computer, a literal dabba. There is nothing, it has no semblance to today's computer. There's this dabba. They tell you, listen, this dabba doesn't understand anything. It only understands these 5 instructions. But I want you to do, I want you to implement a database in this dabba. So you say, well, how do I do this with these 5 instructions? They say, why don't you create a language? So you create a language. Then they say, okay, well, but this dabba doesn't understand your language, right? So why don't you write an interpreter in these 5 instructions so it understands your language? So you write that interpreter. Then you write a compiler, then you execute the program. By the time you end, you have completely learned how programming languages are structured, right? Then you are not fearful of any language. Now, that pedagogy is known to us for at least 40 years. Only 1% of institutions teach it. This is the problem. This is the problem this thing is trying to solve. I hope we can scale this across our curriculum. I know that there will be at least 2 forms of scaling here. One is Dr. Murali Krishna Kumar talked about scaling ATLs themselves. So as the ATLs scale, of course, all of this will scale. It'll scale through the NEP implementation and the experiments that CBSC is doing. But I hope that it also scales through teachers of all subjects, right? And it may not scale only in the tinkering form, it may scale in other forms. But I think this pedagogical frontier has to move on. If it does not move on, then we will not produce different types of people. I want to say that as students, I think what you are going through is also an amazing experience. Because, learning is strongest when you can learn the same concepts from different angles, right? It doesn't happen very easily, especially in the rote learning paradigm. It doesn't happen. Even history, everything is learned just straight jacket. Here it is, learn it, go away. But I think this learning from different angles is the piece I hope you retain. Sometimes I think about why did, say, things like Kabir's couplets or Rumi's or whatever, take your favorite, Tulsi Das, take there. Why have they stuck around? And then so much knowledge is forgotten, but these guys are still around. And I feel that that is because they were able to connect the abstract to the metaphors. So the same concept taught in 2 ways, right? For instance, say, bada hua so kya hua? That is an abstract thought that, so what if you became very big? Jaise ped khajur. So that is like, how the dates are on a tree. It's so far away, panchi ko chhaya nahi phal lage ati dur mich. That it's so far away that it has no benefit to anybody. So I think this combination of the same concept learned from different ways, I think that's really the real learning outcome to me of this wonderful endeavor. I'm so also glad that today I heard this story that Dr. Murali shared with us. How many of you know that who built the Ambedkar Bhavan that we are sitting in? Can you raise your hand? No. Okay. That's the point. In Niti Aayog, how many of you know Amitabh Kant? Almost all of you know. Amitabh Kant always says that, Atal Innovation Mission and Atal Tinkering Lab was built by Dr. Murali Krishna Kumar. and I think what happens to great people in public service is that they are not always remembered, but their babies flourish. And I think this is the case here, right? What he was describing, and again, because there are students in this group, it will be interesting to share that what happens is that when you have something that you want to put together that is more than 500 crores, you move it into the cabinet note and then get it approved, and it goes into the budget and all that, like we were saying, 2015 budget speech. Once the budget says it is in the budget speech and there's money for it, you have to operationalize it. Yeah? You have to figure out, somebody gives you money and says, build Ambedkar Bhavan. You will have to then plan as to how to build it, right? That's the process that Murli ji and his team went through, which is so important and was done right. Therefore, it has scaled. Let me end by telling you that although I'm telling you stories, and you may feel, wow, this guy is telling us stories, I have lots of butterflies in my stomach at the moment. The reason is there's something called Startup 20. How many of you heard about Startup 20? Okay, some people heard about Startup 20. That's good. How many of you heard about G20? Of course, everybody heard about G20. G20 is organized in 3 types of groups. There's the finance tracks, finance groups. There's the Sherpa tracks. And then there's the engagement groups. Startup 20, under India's presidency, is for the first time a brand new greenfield engagement group where 20 countries, G20 countries, plus other nations who are invited, will come together and articulate how they want innovation and startup ecosystems of these nations to work together. This is the first time we have that opportunity. The way this works out is the engagement starts with an inception meeting and ends with a summit meeting. And over this time, you come together and these countries articulate the vision, right? The Startup 20 engagement group's inception meeting is on Friday. And I am chairing it. And as I speak, I am also learning something very important about myself. As I speak, there is a large logistical simulation going on in our office to make sure that every piece is done right? That was at 10 o'clock. Well, people this morning said, we have kept this in meeting at 10 o'clock. I said, I am not going to skip the AIoT. This is an important crowd. But as I drove here, I realized that, wow, there's going to be this giant exercise, and I'm not going to be there. But then it also came to mind that there was this team building exercise that I had once experienced in my work life some years ago, where our team went to an outdoors place. And imagine that there were these 2 rocks. So imagine there's a rock, that wall is one rock, and this wall is another rock. And there was a giant branch of a tree in between those rocks. And you had your team members. You had to do technical climbing. So you climbed from the side, and you had to stand up on that tree branch and cross from one side to another. Not this distance, little less distance. And as you did that, your team was belaying you. So you had this little hook at the back on your jacket, and there was a rope through it, and somebody was holding it. And if you fell, they will catch you so that you don't really fall all the way to the end. The idea of this exercise was that this is how teams should work. You have to completely trust your team. That is what I'm doing here while my stomach has many, many butterflies. But it is wonderful once again to be with you. There is no doubt in my mind that this group is definitely a group that will be architects of the modern India, the future India to come. Let me say one last thing. In Startup 20, this weekend, we will unveil a platform called Startup 20X, which is like TEDx. And every group can do an event that is relevant to whatever it is that they are interested in. but can get it featured on the G20 website. And I hope all of you consider to do some of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. As a visionary, and an optimist, you are an example to all of us. I am filled with much hope for the future of our country. Next, I would request Mr. R.P. Singh, Joint Secretary, Skills Education, CBSE, to deliver the closing remarks and vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. My task is most difficult because I don't want to do it and nobody wants to do that also, because we don't want this program to end. We would like to listen to Dr. Chintan more and more so that we are having some drops of your wisdom coming into our heads. Thank you so much, sir. Well, thank you is not merely a pair of words. It's a feeling that is mutual and is resonating through me from this auditorium to the people on the dais. First of all, I would like to extend my thanks to our chief guest, Dr. Chintan Vaishnav, Mission Director, Atal Innovation Mission, for supporting and guiding us and being here from his busy schedule. Like he said that he had to be somewhere else, but he chose to be here, and we are very thankful and grateful that you could be here, sir. I would also like to thank Dr. C. Murli Krishna Kumarji for his words of wisdom and guiding us in this initiative. I would also like to thank Dr. Biswajit Saha, Director Skill Education, CBSE, whose vision and guidance is the driving force behind this and many other initiatives for integrating emerging technology into the curriculum and classroom transactions. I would be failing in my duties if I don't thank Chairman CBSE, Mrs. Nidhi Shibbar, and CEO Shri Parameshwar Iyer from Niti Aayog, who has been guiding us for this initiative. Unfortunately, they could not be here with us physically, but their blessings and guidance have been part of this initiative, and we are here because of their guidance. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Mrs. Shweta Khurana, Senior Director, Asia Pacific Japan, Government Partnerships and Initiatives, Global Government and Affair Group, Intel. Quite a long designation, ma'am. Kindly shorten it. Well, Intel and her team has been part of many initiatives that CBSE has done. And it is because of that we were the first one in the world to introduce AI in the classroom transaction in class 9th way back in 2019. And the adoption of AI and these initiatives, we started with the thing that AI is an umbrella term, and now everything is coming under that umbrella. And we are hopeful that the teachers who have been part of this journey will take up this initiative, because once we started this, and it was very difficult to convince the teachers and the principals to introduce AI in their classrooms. Because I said it's a very difficult topic, it would be very difficult for the students to understand. But the demand came from the students. That's why we have AI as the #2 skill subject in the last 3 years, as the schools are opting for it more and more. Because the students are insisting the teachers to take it up, and they are now convincing the schools to take it up. And they have been training teachers like anything. We have 2 programs running parallelly every month for teachers of 9th and 10th, wherein they are trained 3 days for this initiative. Well, the most important part of this whole journey, the teachers and the principals who were part of this initiative and who are here as an audience from all parts of the country, we are thankful to you for taking part in this initiative and making us see the fruit which we had only imagined. We had thought of an integration list, and the enthusiasm that the teachers showed in the exhibition outside was very infectious. And it was good to see the teachers take up the role of students, because normally the students are presenting it, but this time the teachers were very excited, and we are very sure that this enthusiasm and excitement will translate into the classroom transaction also. Because if the teachers are ready, then they will create a future-ready group of students. I would also like to thank my colleagues from CBSE and other organizations who are here to support us in this initiative. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Singh, for your constant support and guidance in emphasizing how AI skills education is empowering today's youth and will keep on doing so. I thank all the dignitaries for being with us, for motivating the teaching fraternity in implementing AIoT in their classrooms. And I thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for enlightening. And it was a wonderful program to listen to your vision about the future of India. Thank you. The audience is requested to remain seated.
Thank you, very well done. Yes.
It was a pleasure, an honor actually to